just talk stuff and repeat stuff. I'm living this stuff.
And you can thank me for covering your astro.
Leading out loud. Leading out loud. Leading out loud.
Hello, welcome to Leading Out Loud, the spiritual shift show that woo-woos and wonderful. That's woo-woo and wonderful. I'm psychic astrologer Chris Sensei, Christopher Witecki. It's Mercury retrograde.
And I'm Scott Cruz, psychic medium and mentor with scottcruzpm.com. So we have a lot of heightened energy this week, huh?
Yes, I'm feeling everywhere.
I'm now 44, so I just turned 44 on Monday. So,
God, dude, this
big
is
old
Uranus versus
44.
Uranus. This is the anus versus anus year. We're all over.
Sisters.
Yeah. Well, it's when Uranus opposes Uranus in your natal chart, it means that it starts at 42, actually, as far as the whole, like, when it counts. And what it is literally the part of you that says you got to grow up faces the part of you that says you got to grow up. So the part of you that says grow up says grow up to grow up. And it just pisses people off. I mean, ultimately what it does is just really makes you just over everything for a while. It's kind of like a male menopause that lasts for like nine months.
Oh, great. Fantastic.
Yeah, but it actually comes through. What it does is, here's the thing. I mean, I'll give you what I give a client. Ultimately, you have to route that energy of being upset into realizing that that's the actual energy that will actually change everything. The energy that's making you upset is the energy that will change everything. So you've got all the energy you have and you need. And it'll also, because it's so upset and it's impatient, it'll come up with solutions your mind normally wouldn't have seen. So you're going to come up with brilliant. So what happens is, like, it's weird. It's like you're super frustrated, then you have a brilliant solution. Super frustrated, then another brilliant solution. Usually out of frustration. Sometimes out of the ego, because like the ego's like, because your ego's like, I'm never doing this, I'm never doing this, I'm never doing this. Come time Uranus versus Uranus, you're like, fuck it, I'm going to do it. And you do it, and you're like, oh, I was the one in my own way the whole time. So sometimes we're in our own way, and sometimes our ego is got a certain like position in life because we're like against our parents, or we're against our childhood, or against something in youth. And then when we're more middle-aged, which is what this is, this is your middle-age crisis, which you're going through. That's what we call this, midlife crisis. This is midlife crisis. It's Uranus versus Uranus. Once you go through that, you have all these blocks up that don't really apply to yourself anymore. You don't realize you've blocked yourself into like a weird corner because it wasn't a thing back then. Now it is. So it's just it's kind of crampy, but you get through it. Lots of cramping. Yeah.
So am I supposed to go crabby, all that stuff?
Well,
and,
try to remember that, like, when you get upset, the solution is right there. Like, whatever you're upset about, the solution is right there. Uranus just wants you to do it. You know how it is with Aquarius. Aquarius know what has to be done. They just want you to do it. Yeah. So it's kind of like you're under your own energy.
I do it.
Yeah.
I do it. I dive in. So, I mean, I definitely have a big to-do list that I've created. So
I know this aggravation.
I'm definitely diving in. It's not aggravation to me. It's like I won't say distracted. It's preoccupied. Do you know what I mean? So, my mind is very preoccupied with all these different things I'm doing, and so I have to like then spread the time out and energy out and balance it accordingly. So yeah, sometimes I just get in my head at times like this when I have a massive to-do list of things I gotta accomplish this. So yeah, I would say it's only frustrating, I guess, if they're interlapping, right? So say if I have these things I'm doing and they start to conflict with each other, that's where it gets frustrating. But most times I'm just very preoccupied.
Well, again, in the moment, and this is me looking back as an old man here, past my Caroline return. At the end of the day, a lot of times the frustration is the mind doesn't have the solution. What's up? You're emotionally upset, and we tend to think it's our mind. It's not our mind. We're emotionally upset, and emotional upsetness has like really only the solutions of a 2-year-old. Take yourself outside, go for a walk. Like put on tubbies. Like the tubby bears. Like ultimately little things that just soothe you, and you just soothe yourself out of it. You just massage yourself out of it. After a while, you just start going on auto massage. But I mean, I think at that time I was carrying, balls in my hand, and I was like all these, the squishy balls, like all these things that because I just could not. I'm a very aggro person, anyways, and I just could not. I am. I have tons of energy, tons.
Yeah, me too.
And so it has to get out. It has to get out. I go crazy. I mean, to me, being tied down and not being able to move would be the worst torture in the world. I don't know how I would do it.
Oh yeah, I mean, totally. I mean, that's That's Aqua's too. Like we need to like be busy, and so I just find myself like very, very preoccupied. So I think that it's like having the multitasking energy, and then like kind of getting upset that I'm multitasking. It's like I just was focused on one, and But I feel like at the same time, it's like everything kind of comes together when I know that I'm like working on other things at the same time is a parallel, and so I know at some point they're all going to interject and like, oh, I'm glad I did it all at the same time because now it's all commingling, so to speak. So
you're being pushed out of your comfort zones. But a lot of times there's innovation there, and sometimes it's because things are meant to crash. So, for instance, I've had a car pile up, and I have things like the pep talk is late, and the pep talk is late because I've had a car pile up, and it doesn't matter. People are like, woo! They're just like, woo! Sound the alarm, and it's like, and when you're there, it's like, you realize, what, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. If someone is just that's it, their final straw, then that's their final straw. Like I just realized I surrender. I guess the answer is you surrender to it, and you see where it takes you. And I found that it usually took me to a better place. A lot of times, someone leaves and needs to leave. They're always complaining. Someone that, sometimes I learned that I shouldn't have done this. I mean, a couple of times this week alone, I realized where I shouldn't have. And for me, it's like 7 steps before. It's like 7 steps before, like at the grocery store, should not have given that grandma a free reading. That was it. to the whole day off, so yeah. And there's the more you do than you can do. There's more to do than you can do. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And that's what I was that's what I was saying actually a couple of weeks ago about like going into 2026 is like really find the priorities, right? Yeah. And like it's kind of whack-a-mole. You just kind of like whacking the shit out that doesn't need to be popping up all the time, So, and I think right now, like making the space for what needs to be, because a lot of times we are in loops and in the intellectual cycles and, thinking, why I got to keep doing this. I got to keep, appeasing that person. It's like, no, that person actually needs to exit now. And so it's really shining a lot of that for all of us. But for me, it's like, I'm seeing the light on all this like cool shit that's going to be expanding. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to do it all. So that's kind of the predicament I'm in. Yep. So it's like overexcitement, but at the same time, really kind of
that is part of it. Right now I'm dying to do film. Like I'm dying to shoot. I'm dying to write something. I've got something in my mind I want to write. It's like I've already obligated to writing a nonfiction book, so I can't write that book yet. It's like, oh, you just want so much. And a lot of times you look back and you go, why didn't so-and-so do this? Well, now I'm in their shoes. I'm like, because something had to go. Like sometimes sometimes it's going to be, something's not going to happen that you want to have happen. Something's going to get canceled. You don't want to have it canceled. And the end, there's just only so much that can happen. That's it. In the story,
What does I tell one of my clients? A lot of times we are psychic with a lot of things, like just individually. So I'm saying all because we have ideas doesn't mean it has to all be done now either. So if we become really good at mastering the idea of like, where is it placed on my trajectory? Then you realize that chapter is here. So therefore, cool, I don't need to stress about it now because that's there. And when we start like understanding how to align it all and how to like distinguish it in our trajectory, then we become more clear and we understand that there's a process to things,
Sometimes yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and sometimes life calls to like, for at least for me, like we got to get this all done now because in the long run, it's all going to connect together. That's where I'm at now. But for a lot of us, I tell a lot of my clients like, okay, you have that great idea, but that's next year, or that's 2 years down the road, not now. Oh, I feel so much better. It's like, yeah, it's because you're trying to encumber yourself with it all now,
right?
No,
exactly. I was going to say that's what I call grill philosophy, which comes from grilling steak. If you have a steak that's going to be well done. It's got to go in one corner of the grill. You got steaks that can be rare. It's actually in the hot fire because it's going to be fast. There's a philosophy of how to cook in a lot of steaks. I've worked in a lot of steakhouses. Those boys in the back kitchen, they're masters of it. Those steaks come out perfectly because they know each one has its own time and it has thickness of it, all this other stuff. Ultimately, you have to have 1,000 things on the grill if you want to be successful. And so to me, it's like each child gets a little bit of attention. Most of them are growing slowly, and some have to go fast to fire because shit happens, money's gone, or business deal falls. Something happens you didn't expect, so suddenly you're like having to, on the fly change it. The trick is to get into the groove of cooking. That's I think the trick to enjoy the the karate action film kind of part of it, and to kind of get into the groove of it and try to be in it. But it's not easy because you have to be grounded to do that. But here's this interesting segue. This is a time where human beings have to perform. Period. Okay, guys, everyone has to perform. What you have been is not enough. That's called ascension. Ascension is that what you've been is not enough. It's going to go higher now. It doesn't matter you've done it this way for 30 years. It doesn't matter. And like Scott says, it's AI. All these things are offering new opportunities. As a person who's always been opportunist, who's done his best to find the best things. Now I see so many pieces of candy I want to like go taste and try and like play tools I want to play with. I'm overwhelmed in Toys R Us. I'm just like, oh my God, I hear what you're saying, Scott. Like there's so much I want to try. And I get kind of like, oh, I'm sitting here doing this stupid report. I want to do this. I'm the same way. I'm like, that's where AI will help. But the world actually, and what you're experiencing too is it's coming your birthday. So guys, whenever it's your pre-birthday, has your birthday has happened? No, it's coming up right 13. Okay. When it's your pre-birthday, no, second is happy birthday. Oh my God. I'm getting confused.
No, I just February 13. The beginning.
Yeah. No, I'm getting
February
confused. You're 13 degree, but February 13
degree.
Yeah. Happy birthday, dude. Yeah. So there you go. That's the throw right there. When it's your birthday, when it's your birthday period, you are basically the sun is coming back to where it was, and it's going to go, and then it slingshots forward. So there's like your life slows down before the birthday and then speeds up after the birthday. And it's literally a time crunch thing. And so before the birthday, it slows down almost like a car accident where you're like looking at your life and all the shit that sucks. And so most people are unhappy right to their birthday because they're like, It's just a weird phenomenon. Then the birthday hits, and you're like, one day you're like, and then boom, you're shot out of a cannon because there's a renewal of, well, I'm going to this year, I'm gonna, and then everything races and people manifest things faster to them in that time. Now, on top of that, I'll just say with the planets, I'll skip to the planets part now. Right now, we are actually going through a major ascension. This is it. It started with that full moon we had on your birthday, by the way. Happy birthday. It was on your full moon. It's a full moon in Leo at 13 degrees on your birthday. And that ultimately was a kind of a titty twister from the universe saying, hey, are you going to be happy or what? And people felt that way. Now, I know people who died. My family, we had death in our family. We had someone who I thought would be married break up. We just had major wow, little wows, but all in each case you could tell, the even person who passed away, this relative, I hadn't seen her in her heart in a long time. She was not happy. So it's like not a surprise, what happened, but still it's kind of a pain. And then what happens is from that full moon, we start to accelerate. So we have a solar eclipse coming at 28 degrees of Aquarius. This 20-degree solar eclipse is gigantic because it's a huge investment of high vibration. 28 is the highest degree you can go to. 29 is chaos. You don't want to go there. You can build the society with. 28 is the building of society. And Aquarius is the sign of society. And so a 28-degree solar eclipse in society means that's the reboot. That's okay, let's go ahead and upgrade. So we're feeling the upgrade. Then the upgrade will happen by the end of August. By August, I argue 5D is available.
Well, I always say, we have to break down and break through, right? The very cliche bumper sticker, right? So we've done a lot of the breaking down. So we're going to see a lot of things fully break down and kind of like where the foundation is now, like kind of ground zero, so to speak. So, and we've been doing that. And I've been saying for a while that, we've been in the trial and tribulation period since 2019. And now we associate the, book of Revelation as far as the rapture and so forth with ascension. And to me, the rapture is that when we evolve from 3D to 5D, and there's always a trial and tribulation period before that process, and those who don't evolve their perspective will be left behind, so to speak, which means that we trampled out by AI, or they won't be able to survive in the new world, so to speak, right? So that's why it's important that we are evolving and ascending. But this is a period now where that cycle begins of that full breakdown, the ground zero, the rebuilding, the restructuring, the revolutionary period, right? Yeah. Because we just came out of them, or actually in betwixt the tribulation phase, and so we have to start identifying what that means individually, but also how that contributes collectively too, because I think so many people are just so focused on their own life, and we have to understand what is the ripple effect of our lives with other people around us, and how's that affecting people, in the long run. So we have to start thinking more collectively now more than ever. And enough of this me crap. Yes, we have to do self-love. Yes, we have to attend to the self first, but that true self-love energy, as we always say, turns into, I want to share it. I want to express it. I want to expand it. And so this is where we need to really be at right now.
Well, that's what we're talking. It's very timely you say that because, first of all, it's a self-love episode. I don't know if you know that. We're talking self-love today. And
yes, I forgot.
But secondly, I thought that was a brilliant script personally. And then secondly, we are at that point. Actually, this Aquarius, Pluto's at step 3, which Pluto's the final line. But the full moon was at 13. The breakdown of the full moon, wherever God puts a full moon, that's where we're breaking down, which means that's where we're going to regrow. We're going to grow back. So we're going to grow back. We break down on your birthday, just as you are breaking down here. I'm kidding. You're doing great. But we break down on your birthday. It means we're breaking down 13. That means our daily life is, in fact, breaking down. 2 years ago, it was inner self. So basically, to your credit, the self-love thing, you're late, people. We told you 2 years ago to do this, and now you're late. That's ultimately it. because we got to move on to society now. We got to move on to society. Yeah. So you have all the people who didn't do it, didn't do the work, hey, we told you, listen to us. We know what I think what happens though, for a lot of people, they won't get off their ass and help themselves until they see their light breaking down. So for most people, they don't get to the inner work until God is already cueing the day-to-day work. And that's what's being cued this year. Day-to-day life has got to be better. Now, here's what's going to break down. The big national level is going to break down while actually we have the let's say middle class consciousness really developing themselves back up. So it's an interesting transformation as we're watching it unfold.
Well, yeah. And I want to interject with that too, because I think a lot of people have slowed their progress on self-love because the poor definition of what self-love means. Well, people think we're just going basically saying, oh, I need self-love. I need to pamper myself and go to spa. It's like, that might be an expression of self-love, but how about the fact that you have to stand up for yourself more? How about the fact that you have to, keep your space clear and set, proper boundaries for yourself? That's self-love too. How about the fact that you should be expressing those things that you're afraid to express because that's part of your soul, the soul's voice in a sense, right? So there's all these different parameters that equal self-love that many people just thought is like, I just have to pamper myself and just like be happy that I'm overweight or be happy that the bad things. It's like, no, being self-love doesn't mean you're embracing the bad. It just means that you're accepted for what it is, but you're evolving and growing from it, And so I see so many people just had a bad definition of self-love, which is why they never accomplished it or they haven't gotten so far in their progression with self-love,
That's right.
So
and that's what today's episode's about. Good lead.
I keep forgetting that.
That's a brilliant lead in, actually. You gave us the lead in. That's what we're going to talk about. And speaking,
it was not intentional, Christopher. I'm telling you, that was not intentional. I swear.
No, your higher self is definitely dialed in.
Or was it? Right.
Well, I'll tell you, self-love is going to be the name for a lot of people on the Epstein list. I mean, we have quite a headline this week. You guys, I feel like everyone, honestly, here's the thing, y'all, here it goes. People said, what's coming up? Here, it's starting now. Okay, it is absolutely starting. This is it. This is the fabric unraveling of the sweater. And if you did a lot of self-love work in the last 2 years, you'll remain calm. If you did not do self-love work, you will not remain calm because you are seeing crazy in the world and it's reminding you of the crazy on the inside. And so if you feel so crazy on the inside and you see the crazy in the world, you're going to be really upset at what you see because you're seeing yourself you're seeing versions of yourself. Either way, we're all going to flush the toilet and clean this thing up. And that's, I think, what we've come to do. You talk about reconstruction. I agree, but this is not the part yet. This is the this is the sit back, brew some tea and watch the buildings fall, for a minute, because they're going to.
Right.
I think
just leveling. We're like leveling out ground zero, right? That's kind of what's happening. That's the cycle. That's 2026 is a cycle, but like we're just now almost like ground zero. We got to level it out now. We got to smooth things out. We got to take some missing pieces out. Like that's if I had kind of putting an analogy to that phase that we're in now, that's the phase before we rebuild. Yeah, I agree.
We're in discovery. We're still getting the X-rays. We're seeing how deep the cancer goes. We don't know.
What did I tell you? What did I say in 2025? I said 2026 all going to be about innovation, discovery, and finding one's place and finding placement of things, right? So that's like the general essence of 2026. So yes, discovery is key. And that's, speaking of discovery, we're discovering a lot with the Epstein files, aren't we?
Yes. I mean, we'll start actually with XI, I guess. SpaceX has merged with XAI. I guess that's a corporate thing. If it's a merger, this advance, I don't know if I'd like that personally. Like, wait a second, I'm invested in artificial intuition or artificial intelligence, and now I'm on a spaceship. Like, for the companies to merge like that, it's like a little, I see why they need each other. But anyways, this advance plans for sci-fi style data centers in space, bending an orbital infrastructure to power massive AI compute needs. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense because it'll stay cooler, at least. I mean, that's the problem, is the coolness, right?
Well, yeah, but that also doesn't put a strain on our resource because a lot of these data centers, are very loud. They cause a lot of like frequency contamination for people. A lot of people are complaining about like some of their data centers they built right in their neighborhoods. Some are getting headaches. It's like some can't see because it's noisy, right? And so, and I've seen a lot of these where they create data centers. And they have these huge like pools that they create that look like Caribbean, oceans in a sense, and the pools kind of like cool down the system. So I'm like, you know what? It's good if they're able to do that in space, this way, and they'll probably find more resource somewhere. Because I predicted some part of the 2026, they would begin to harvest some sort of resource in other planets, maybe Mars, I don't know, and able to maybe utilize that for this. So that's kind of in alignment to what I was feeling for this year too. So I think that'd be a good thing if they start putting the data sensors in space.
We should just be smart. I can't go too far on this, but Denver, Colorado, my brother Michael is an engineer, electrical engineer, like of installs
Yeah.
and stuff. He's telling me a story about in Denver. They had this massive like repiping of all the sewage, right? So they were repiping the sewage and they put it into this big pipe. Well, it turns out like all the poop coming from all the people at the same time is very hot. It generates a tremendous amount of heat. So much heat that they can't like let this poop thing sit out anywhere. But long story short, they found a way to actually capture the heat off of it and turn it into something. So it's like, we need to start thinking that way. If we're going to put off a bunch of heat here, why don't we heat some steam over here, make some electricity or something? We need to start thinking in those types of terms. That's what I'm saying.
It gives a new meaning to a hot pile of shit, doesn't it? It just gives a whole new meaning to that.
I can't get over that thought too. My brother's like, just all the shit of Denver is making power. NASA begins countdowns for crewed lunar missions. Crewed lunar means some cruel people going to the moon. Oh, crude. Gotcha. Will be the first time humans will venture beyond low Earth orbit since Apollo 17 in 1972. That's us right there too. It's like, okay. We were like on our way to the moon. I mean, any comments on that psychically?
I mean, I felt like there's gonna be a lot of outer space, NASA, type of, I would say, experiments this year. I predicted for last year for this year, so I'm not surprised they're going to be diving into that venture. I do definitely feel like they want to kind of have more contact with Mars somehow, and also with the moon. So I feel like there might be a lot of those types of interests and intentions this year. So I'm not surprised. Beyond the low Earth and going further out and see what's in these other planets. So I feel like when was the last time we went on the moon? We have so much better technology now, but we haven't been able to go back. So it's like something smells fishy there. Something smells like a hot pile of shit there, right? So I think this year we might start recognizing we can do more than what we thought we can. And so there'll be a lot more discovery in that avenue. So yeah, I'm not surprised to be venturing further out.
I think it's an alibi for NASA and their secret space program. Like they're just like,
yeah, exactly right.
Well, this is how far we got. We're just like gonna get, it's like whatever. Apparently, an iPhone computer is more powerful than the original computer on the Apollo. So it's like, okay, so you haven't been able to beat an iPhone the entire time. We'll just see. The Minnesota crisis update continues. ICE continues to lay siege to Minneapolis. Protests continue and spread nationwide in regard to this. We've talked about that last week, but it's just part of what seems to be happening. Every state seems to be having something like this, y'all. I don't want to make you feel picked on at all, Minnesota, but geez, it seems like all of us have had one big thing like this happen to us.
Yeah, well, I think the administration has called for them to now to remove the troops from Minnesota now. So I think now they're pulling back. So it's like there's been this back and forth consistently, and obviously it's political, obviously. But
there's no one else to pull. Like it wasn't. They were under siege. They were looking for illegal immigrants, right? That was the whole reason they were there, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't policemen.
Yeah. Initially, and then 2 American citizens end up dead. So how's that going? In that sense. So just the tactics were not really. I think a lot of people were not trained effectively. I think that because I know there was like anyone could have like signed up to be part of ICE, and they had like a 45 hour or 2-day training or something of that nature, and that's all they had. And so you have all these people coming from who knows where for who knows what, and not trained very well. So I think that's caused a lot of issue, and chaos, unfortunately. So, but I'm very proud of the people because, I don't know why all of a sudden like protesting has got such a bad name. I think it's become like a left-righty thing, but I think protesting is what's gotten to us, and standing up is what's gotten us to revolutionize a lot of rights that we have now. So whether you're left or right, it's good to protest whatever it is, and I think people standing up in Minneapolis, and I mean, hundreds of thousands, not hundreds of thousands, but thousands and thousands of people showed up in this freezing cold. Yep. And it's because of their voices are like, okay, well, let's take some troops out. So it definitely does make a lot of change, and we at least stand up, because then they start recognizing, holy shit, we have all these people that are upset, and it's this little tiny government. It does freak them out a little bit, when we have all these people revolting.
And my point is, again, this is happening everywhere in the United States. It's, it's like our entire nation needs to wake up. And so when LA was going through it, was Minnesota worried about them? Maybe not. Like the point is, we all need to care about each other. And this happens in LA every day. This happens in New York every day. What's happening, y'all, in Minnesota happens everywhere every day. We have a problem. Yeah. We have a problem. That's what I want to say. And I think it's Adderall. I think these officers. I'm serious. I think it's Adderall. Adderall,
Adderall, part of it. Yeah, part of it.
Yeah, it's an illegal drug. Yeah. All righty. So we just too much coffee. You better lay down and get that decaf. Okay, here we go. Bill and Hillary Clinton are scheduled to testify in the House Oversight Committee in regards to the Epstein ties. This revolves a month-long standoff between the committee issued subpoenas in 2025 demanding the Clintons' appearance. Department of Justice released over. Okay, so that was the end of that one. So yeah, the Clintons. Well, the Clintons have been always very good at dodging court. Back when they were in president, like I did not have sexual relations. Like we all heard that quote, and then we heard him say, "I did." So we know. We know. But it's interesting that goes back to that. I think we're going to see probably a root canal in this country all the way back to Ronald Reagan. Probably.
That's true.
So we'll see. But honestly, I have to say things have been kind of weird since Ronald Reagan. I mean, the country's been weird. The country's been weird. It's been weird this whole time I've been growing up. It's not even.
Well, we haven't had. I think since Nixon, such a disapproval rate of administration. So it's been since Nixon, I think. So, there's a lot of change, and a lot of people are. I see a lot more people unifying. I'm starting to see right wing podcasters and left wing podcasters now combining forces and podcasting together and just discussing their differences. I
they
said
call
this
that
would happen.
journalism. That's called journalism, buddy. When you have both sides.
Right, and they're able to say, kind of meet and discuss this now. So there's been more of that, and I'm like, that's what we need to be doing. Just have these conversations, and so it's happening. And I feel like again, Trump, the disruptor, has created us to turn against government and now focus on each other. And we're still in that process. There's still a lot of fragmentation, but it's definitely going to catch up. But I'm not surprised that I've always said Clinton is attached to this, but not in the ways we think. For some reason, it's obvious to think oh yeah, he's the same, whatever. And not that he's clean. There's something that they're charging him that I don't think he is guilty of too. There's something I've always felt that he's not guilty of in relation. Sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could be her, right?
Where's the guilt? I mean, the Obamas had a missing chef recently. That's only going there in Nantucket Island. The Clintons have stories around them like that too, missing people, missing this. And I went to high school in Arkansas while he was governor.
Oh, they do out people, yeah.
And when I went to high school in Arkansas, before I even knew who he was, in high school, these are Christians who love to gossip. They were saying there was rumors about our Governor Clinton likes some young people, and he does a cocaine and all that sort of thing. I swear to God, that was rumor. Who's cocaine? Who's Bill Clinton? And what's cocaine about? And then you find out he runs for president. It's like wow. So y'all. The thing is, I don't know this is a deep conversation we'll have, but I do feel like this. The universe is saying that things have got to go up. We've got to be happy. That's the mandate from the universe. We've got to be happier and have a higher joy. That means anything that is holding us down is going to come up like a pus. That said, let's roll the clip about Epstein. We have a clip here.
This is a distraction. I mean, obviously, let's call it the obvious here. This is all distract from the Epstein files. Let's just call it what it is. That's what this is about.
At this point, we have to all say, forget conspiracy. Let's just all take a vote. Is it maybe a distraction, guys? I think we need to have a conversation. Do you guys think it's a distraction? If so, does someone want to write on the board what the distractions think can we organize a little bit? Just write on the board what we think they are. So this is what we're not. This is what we can do. This is what the forefathers did to form the country. The last time Pluto was. Yeah, my Pluto to Aquarius rant. So indeed,
it was funny. I was scratching my face. I'm like, wait a minute, it's not doing it on the screen. And then I realized I'm watching a playback. I was like, oh, it freaked me out for a minute because I was scratching my face and I see it on the TV.
You're like you're in your roster. Now you're going down. You called it. I mean, you said it was distraction for Epstein. Could have been. I mean, it's literally in this last week that we had this release of the Epstein files. I mean, basically, and that was, of course, determined to do. But the Department of Justice releases over 3 million documents from Epstein files. And, we had said this is distraction, probably so. And some of the notable revelations include the following: that allegations of grotesque sexual misconduct and ritual abuse involving George Bush Sr.
Not surprised.
I've seen that man give a speech was like that to me. It was misconduct, ritual. It was abuse to me. I hated watching it. I'm kidding. No, I'm not surprised. Honestly, I guess it's hard to joke about this because it's going to be heavy. In fact, we have to actually remember to laugh about this stuff. Not laugh about, but continue to laugh in life, not laugh at this, because we're going to see some heavy stuff about how some people have gone to crazy means in the idea of power in our lifetime. Yeah. And so I do. Now, this is something I came privy to myself, these rumors about 4 years ago. So, and they shocked me at the time. But I think back to, the similar period happened in World War II. When we had, mechanized killing of Jewish people, mechanized killing, where industry turned, we had factory of killing. We took technology and killed faster. It's like, wow. To me, that was the most disgusting thing you could ever do. Well, apparently there's more. It's just as much disgusting stuff. And you know, I don't know. With George Bush Sr., just a psychic read. Never energetically liked the guy ever. Never liked him. Like, as a kid, ever. Something just felt wrong. Never wanted to meet the president. Didn't care. I thought he was a worm, a talking worm. You know. And as I became psychic, I started seeing flashes of. I think, you know, I'm just going to put out there. I have no evidence. This is my psychic guy, but I think he was behind the Reagan shot. You know, Reagan getting shot. I just kind of feel like the way. I always felt like he was. Like, I can't. You know, I have no evidence. It's just my imagination. Silly psychic side. And also, when Reagan came out from his surgery from that, I think something happened to him in surgery because he started to decline tremendously fast from that point. His memory's declining, and Nancy ran the show for the last 2 years. Like, you know, his dementia game went on really fast.
Snipers don't come from regular citizens. That's governmental. And so, yes, I definitely feel like our government was behind, you know, of course, the killing of that, you know, in that era, you know. And then we also have allegations that Bill Gates contracted STD from Russian prostitutes and asked Epstein for antibiotics for secretly administered to his wife. So there's that. So Bill Gates was actually being interviewed about this. He's like, yeah, you know, I was not very smart to hang out with him. I regret hanging out with him. It's like, okay, you regret hanging out with him, but what did you do with him and what you guilty doing with him, right? So he's just trying to make it out. He just hung out with him, is innocently, you know, and being entertained with Epstein. It's like, well, dude, come on, you know. So yeah, I think that a lot of the fingers are pointing at people you wouldn't think. I think Deepak Chopra was another one. I wasn't surprised about that.
When's the last time you asked a pimp for antibiotics? I mean, like, what? It's like, I mean, you were a man of power. You were in Windows, so you can't get your doctor to write a script.
But I didn't realize it was Dr. Jeffrey Epstein. So what does he have all these medications for, Mr. Epstein? And you know, what does he have there that people are going to him for? Antibiotics and stuff.
He's got doctors, blackmail doctors. Let me come on with my blackmail doctors and I'll get some for you. The thing is, you know, as far as the involving George Bush in misconduct, apparently what's happening is that there's a satanic thing going on underneath the scenes here, guys. We should have to talk about it. And I don't feel like, I don't know, we'll see it'll come out or whatever. That's the auspice of it. So it's weird rituals that go back to us before tribal stuff. Really, this is like tribal type of behavior. But with that, with Bill Gates, you know, this man is a man who, you know, wrote Windows and gave us Windows and then gave us virus software to kill the viruses that get into the Windows that he writes. You know, it's like, you know, he creates antibiotics and it seems like the viruses.
That's what I always said. When I was a kid, I'm like, I said, I feel like the people who are creating the antivirus software are the ones creating the viruses, you know? So I knew that even then. I was like about that when they were doing that. Yeah.
Totally.
But, you know, Gates was all about population control. I mean, he was like with the whole AIDS crisis and after had his hands in that pot too. So, I mean, he's obviously a dirty fellow and I'm not surprised that he was, you know, is being called out. But it's like I don't know why they're just allowing these people just to lie and just say, oh, I just was innocently hanging out with them. It's like, press them. Well, what were you doing? You know, how did you not know like what he was, you know, guilty for? Did you not know of this?
We're going to find out more. I mean, psychically, I think this is just, they're laying out the first details. There's tape. There's video. You know, like there's tape and video. There's evidence. So I would be very careful if I was them saying anything because I feel for understand just what I know from the Epstein stuff. They taped everything. There was cameras in every room all the time.
And it's like, that's kind of stupid too, in a way. But, and they also saw like there's parts of the Epstein, you know, estate that have like a prison. We're just like prison cells and stuff in the house too. So, I mean, they're finding a lot. But here's a wonderful, beautiful thing. Now this is in everybody's consciousness. I would say majority of people, if not all, want this truth to be revealed. So it's going to be revealed because just think of all the consciousnesses that are focusing on this and that are intending for this to come out to be true, that we're begging and demanding the truth on this. So it'll definitely come to manifestation for sure. That's a whole bunch of people and conscious of this energy trying to, so it's not going to go away. I mean, it'll take its time. They're going to drag it out this year. They're going to drag more and more out this year, you know, with the Epstein files. We'll get glimpses and pieces. Nothing's going to be done. I don't really feel like anything's going to really be done until 2027. That's where I feel like there's going to be a lot of explosions.
Well, the way our courts run, yes. You know, we run slow in this country with all that stuff. I mean, the truth of the matter is I think you're going to find, y'all, it is a conspiracy. It is. Okay, like to keep all this underground for so long and people of this caliber. Do you know how many people it takes just to get Bill Gates on a plane? You know, like how many people are in the loop? That's a conspiracy. Okay, that people working together to break the law. In this case, they knew better. He knew better. You know, honestly, the whole time that Bill Gates was telling me how I should have a vaccine shot and I should take his medicine, I knew this was happened. And so for that whole time during COVID, I hated him. I hated him because I knew I didn't feel he cared at all. I just felt it was all bullshit. So anyway, it's all good, you know. Now here's a weird one. Epstein pitched Bill Gates on secret health tech data, brain neurological weapons, and pandemic simulations. Huh. Epstein pitched Bill Gates. So this is interesting. So Epstein was trying to sell Bill Gates on these things. You know, is that because he needed to trade it for some antibiotics? Like, what was going on there?
Well, I mean, the question that poses to somebody is like, what is his ability to be able to assist in such things? Is it the connections? Is he doing nefarious things to victims and so forth that he knows about these parameters? So it begs a deeper question of like, how would Epstein have access to these sorts of things and knowledge? And you know, so, but to me, I understand he familiarized with a lot of people, familiarized with people who are understanding these things, and he tested on victims. And you know, and so that's what I believe. Especially when you see these torture rooms that are in these photos of the files, and like the prison rooms, these kind of escape or these basement doors, trap doors, and stuff. When you see how his estate was kind of built, you start wondering. And even this dentist room of like these, you know, the chair and the stirrups and the chains and then whatever. Like, it's what are they doing to these patients, and why is it all there? And what are they doing? Are they surgery on people? Are they organ harvesting? I believe there's some organ harvesting going on, you know, or that was going on then too.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll find that to be true. But what you're seeing here, interestingly enough, is a sidetrack, is that this is the dark stuff we heard about with the Nazis. This is the same stuff that we all shook our hands at. And you know what we did? We imported all their most brilliant scientists and we started NASA. That's what we did. It's called Operation Paperclip. Yeah. Look it up. So y'all, we have just been letting things happen right under our nose, and we've been acting like nothing's wrong and like, wait, no, everyth's good. It's you, Republican. It's you, Democrat. You know, it's like, no, it's not either of us citizens. It's something bigger. Epstein states that Robert Maxwell, which is Ghislaine's father, was passed away, quote, quote. That's the slang for found naked, dead in the Arctic Ocean, after attempting to blackmail Mossad. So he was trying to well, that's kind of stupid. I wouldn't try blackmailing Mossad either. That's common sense there. You know, why would you even play with fire like that? But a video of Mexican model says that they are eating people that has been released. I guess you're talking about the people in the compound, huh? That they were eating the people. Again, I think cannibalism is part of that ritual. Elon Musk messaged Epstein about getting invites to his party. So, you know, I don't know. That one's probably true, but I think that
I totally see that. I can even see him going to
for the kids. Was it for the kids, or was it just like let me in? It
was just like it was could be a socialite to be a part of it, and I also feel like to be access to young women, girls. You know, maybe not like children, but like these like 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like I just see Elon like I want to be part of it. Like the FOMO,
right?
FOMO. You know,
I can see that. I mean, and that's the thing, guys. With all this, we have to again. I just recommend we just take a step back and let people hang themselves. Let's not jump to any conclusions, because in some cases it may look like looks like a duck, but it's not a duck. In some cases it may look like a duck. It is a duck. Here's what gets me: Dalai Lama.
But that's what I was saying with Bill Clinton. Like, yes, there's some shit there at Clinton, but there's something that it's not what people are thinking it is either. So I always kind of felt that with Clinton for some reason, because like obviously you'd be like, yeah, it's easy just to lump him in, right? But there's something I think that he'll be charged, he'll be vindicated on. But there's also other shit, I will say, you know. But yeah, the Dalai Lama.
I think he will go. I mean, we should do we'll do a lottery next week. We'll talk about it.
Yeah,
we'll do like a contest on our guesses and who goes to prison, who doesn't. The Dalai Lama met with Epstein and is mentioned in the documents at least 169 times. Now, whoa, the fact that 69 is a lot. I'm just kidding, but honestly,
appropriate, isn't it?
That's shocking. Well, that's really shocking. I mean, that's just who knows, but. Was he? Here's the thing. I don't know. See how twisted I am about this? Because like he could have been on there because he was a spiritual person and he was like trying to bring some darkness into light, or he could have been, you know, struggling himself with the darkness in the light, or you know, there's a lot of like, doesn't look good though. You know what I mean? Like, and secondly, you know, if you're afraid of the Chinese government, like don't hang out with bad guys on the planet. You know, I don't know. It's kind of a risky move, anyways. It's not really Dalai Lama's job to clean up evil. I don't know.
Most people with so much power, no matter how they package their power, are corrupt to me, is what I've been seeing. Because in order to get that influential and that powerful, there's got to be a lot of ego and a lot of drive for, you know, either control, power, whatever the case is. And we find a lot of that. And so I'm not surprised with even Deepak Chopra, the next one, he appears in thousands of times, including emails, meeting notes, and
of course.
Yes, Chopra and Epstein spending years after Epstein's 2008 conviction for soliciting prostitution from a minor. So I'm not surprised about Deepak Chopra either. When I used to see Deepak Chopra, I'm like, something's just so phony about this guy. Like, I always felt something off about him. Something like, just again, all presentation, no substance in a sense. And so, and I think when I saw him on Oprah, I'm like, of course, they're both part of that, you know. So it just, to me, I'm not surprised by any of these names, to be honest with you.
Deepak was always very sober. I just couldn't. I felt like I wasn't. I don't know. I felt like I didn't get it. Like I could never get what he's trying to get me to get. And I just felt like I just wasn't. I didn't get him. I tried to connect. I tried to like reach spiritual through him, but I just couldn't. He didn't lead me there. I can say that. Maybe it was because he had this other side. You know, he's very cerebral. But the Dalai Lama is like in his heart. That's what confuses me. I'm like is that like that confuses me. And that's, they say some of the darkest dark has lots of light in it, because it's the light in the dark person that gets the kid to get in the car. It's the light in that person. So it's really gray that light is abused in order to facilitate dark. That's what happens. And that's why we're so confused about it. It's not as black and white as we think. These bad guys have good side to them. They have good side to them.
We have to also understand too, like when we understand and master duality, then we get to a position in one of our incarnations where we do grotesque and negative things, and that's how we evolve. And so, you know, we think spiritually, we think that, you know, we're gonna have to experience duality at some point in our existence, no matter what the essence is. So, and part of that, is understanding the connection of karmic journeys and understanding how to infiltrate certain karmic lessons with people and what your role is with that. And so, some people, again, you might look at it as being evil, and we might say it because we come from that part of evolution, not wanting that density. But I think some people who are very highly evolved do wrap themselves more into that density, you know, as a way of understanding that duality. That's why these Illuminati people are always with the black and white. They understand duality. They master duality, good and bad. It's all one, right? So they understand that power. That's why they flaunt those symbology all over the place. And so, you know, there's some truth to that, actually.
I think, honestly, the truth is power. You know, they say absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. Well, no. What I found is if you have someone who has a small ego, they think nothing of themselves. They think of themselves as a POS, and suddenly they win the lottery, or suddenly they have power out of nowhere. So you have someone who is never power hungry, suddenly has power, they usually abuse it. People who are new to power abuse it. Like, power is very seductive. It's like, you know, it's a different kind of seduction. So I think a lot of people who are new at power, like, you know, I don't even know, but Bill Gates was born into it. His father is very dark also and had lots of money. So who knows where that started. But when you have a weak person who's not really experienced and savvy, who's not climbed up by their own, you know, by their own talent to be in a place, and they're suddenly put into a place of power, 9 out of 10 times, maybe 8 out of 10 times, they abuse it because they don't have the strength to stay true to an inner conviction.
Well, I also feel too they've had power in a past incarnation. They're just repeating it and continuing it on. You know, I don't feel like Epstein's new to power. I feel like he comes from, you know, previous, you know, other political environments of power in his past incarnations, right? And so I definitely feel like he's just he repeated more of that. And so a lot of these people have these, I would say, bloodlines of you know, both physical power, but also the soul power in that sense too. That doesn't mean we're less than or inferior. They're just learning it in a different way. And I also started to say too, Christopher, I think there is some truth to some of these people being reptilian. I just kind of scoff at that a little bit. I'm like, yeah, I believe in extraterrestrials, but I do think there's some that incarnate to experience these like this density and this weird intensity of density. So I do think there's some extraterrestrials who have those dark intentions that are incarnated into this planet as well.
I think it's all extraterrestrial.
I used to question that, but now I'm starting to really kind of believe that, because you have to ask yourself, what is in the body? What is habitating a body? It could be a soul or something else. It could be no soul. It's a body that's kind of just going by brain functionality, where they feel soulless and lack empathy, or they could be actually incarnation from another planet, from all we know, right? And so, and I think the more we get into AI, that'd be accessibility to, you know, extraterrestrials to incarnate in different levels of consciousness, to incarnate into robots and so forth too in the future. So we have to ask ourselves, if we do believe in soul inhabiting a body, is it always a soul in there? Is it something else, another aspect of consciousness that's actually happening? And that's what these people are, who have no empathy, that can harm a child. You know, I don't think that a soul from our nature can do that. You know,
well, you're opening up a huge box of conversation there. I agree with you. First of all, no one on Earth is from Earth. We're all from different planets. We all incarnated from different planets, all of us. I believe that we all incarnated, you know, once they, you know, upgraded the orangutan or whatever it was to the higher human function, Sirius, Pleiades, Arcturians, they all come in, they incarnate into the human body. That's like part of the carnival of being, I think, of the company of heaven. I think that's what I'm looking for. The company of heaven. The company of heaven is that you can go into these different worlds and you can experience yourself as a soul in these different ways. Is what I feel. As for something that some dark version that does, what I've heard is this: if you refuse the light at death, you can actually hop back in and steal a body. But if you refuse the light, you don't cleanse between lifetimes. And so because you don't cleanse, you start accumulating and losing your light. Your wattage goes down, down, down. This makes you more vampiristic. This makes you wanting to get more. And so instead of going to the light, you refuse the light at death. You stick around and you talk some guy and hitting on a girl in the bar using whispering inspiration.
What a light is actually you choosing to want to evolve. If you don't want to choose to grow and evolve, that means that you have to reincarnate and repeat it again. If you don't choose that, then yes, you'll be very parasitic in your nature, and that will come into you're almost stuck in density. And a lot of these people are stuck in density, and so that's why they want to live forever, because they can't evolve, and to a certain degree. So that's why they're so hung up on the physical power and want to remain in the physical power. So when we rise above that, and that's kind of again the whole rapture analogy I was talking about earlier, when we rise above that, we go into 5D, then things become more accessible. We can manifest easier. Things become less tangible, right? Things become less fluid in the physical sense, right? We can teleport. We get to that level, right? And so we gotta, the more we can release and relax on the density, the more we can evolve and allow our planet to evolve too, and our experience of the planet to evolve. But a lot of people are just so stuck in density, and in order for us to evolve our species, they got to go. That's why we're breaking this all down, because they're stuck in density. They're keeping us bound in survival mode. And so we're trying to evolve out of that. So I think this is a wonderful period, actually. I think it's an exciting time to be alive, to be honest with you, and witness this evolution moving forward.
I'll tell you, we can't go into this now. We'll talk about it sometime in the future. But the story goes that Atlantis was a pure society of pure good, knew no evil, knew nothing. And it was ultimately an alien nation that started to corrupt the people. Yeah. And they started corrupting leaders. And so the leaders started to get addicted to actually the high of darkness. And so it became really, it's kind of like a chemical or drug addiction that they're, as we all know, if you, choke yourself while you're having a sexual climax, it's more intense. There's an intensity to death to some degree. There's an intensity of things dying. Alcohol itself is grain that's been rotting for a long time. It's dead grain. Like a lot of our highs come from that dark decomposition. Point is we have to learn to get high off of light and not decomposition. And this is, I think what you're seeing is two forms of species. I do think that the aliens are living underground, and I do think the big flow was to try to get rid of the aliens. Like all these have interesting theories are out there about our world history. But here's coming down to it. The planet's going up to 5D. So I think what we see is these conspiracies, if you want to call them, are to keep people from doing it, to stay in the dark, to keep rotting, because there are people who want to get high off the rot.
Well, and the thing is, we don't have to run away from the dark either. Some people can feed off that. We can fuel from it too. Mm-hmm. We have this darkness, and like we were talking about before about having anger and just use that to like propel us forward, to be more excited, more passionate. That's what we're here to play. We're utilize. We're here to convert. We're here to be those magicians. We're here to be the alchemists in that way, saying, I'll take this darkness, but I'm going to fuel it into more of the lightness and more into the positive and more into expansion of myself. So that's what we should be doing instead of trying to avoid it. And a lot of, as I've always been vocal about these faux spiritual communities saying, like, just don't focus on the negative and just like put it under the rug. It's like, no, we can't do that. Let's use it and empower ourselves to convert it. Yeah. And that's what we're learning. As they're like trying to be succubuses on the physical, we're actually saying using that physical to propel us into more of the non-physical. And that's what 5D is. Agreed. And I keep seeing, again, the image of what that looks like for me in this evolution is getting so vivid, and what it looks like and the color schemes and the vibrancy of it. It's so vivid to me. It's so close.
The artist in you can see it.
It's close, is what I'm saying.
Cloaked?
It's close.
It's close. Oh, yeah. It's here. I mean, the reason why all the poop is coming up, all the bubbling fluid coming out of the ground is because the light is pushing it. I mean, we're going higher. And the fact that we realize we're sad is because we're actually, you realize it. You realize you're sad, you're realizing because you're going up. That's what, you realize you're feeling sick because you're going up. It's because you're moving that you feel sick. It's because it is moving, in fact. So don't worry, it's going to move. There's no way off of it. You're on this planet, you're going to go. We'll wrap up with this. We have a break. Several world leaders and high-profile individuals impacted on this whole Epstein thing include former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak, Prince Andrew. We knew that one already. Bill Clinton. Yep. We talked about Donald Trump. We've heard that as well. Larry Summers, the former head of the Treasury Department. Okay, interesting. Richard Branson, maybe that's the name Virgin's kind of all over everything, isn't it? And Elon Musk. Huh. All right. Well, I know you have a brand that names everything, including bubblegum Virgin. I think he's telling us something. Somebody's right there. I'm just saying. That's what I'm saying. And we'll be right back after this. A Virgin commercial. If you're watching us on YouTube, please be kind and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Serious Joy TV. Please click like on this video, and if you don't mind, hit the bell button so you're notified, so we collectively defeat the algorithm overlords. The Serious Joy Nonlinear TV Network is simulcasting right now on many media affiliates, including Instagram, X.com, and Facebook, just to name a few.
Aloha! I'm Mary, and I'm inviting you to experience the mystical world of the tarot with me. As a tree-hugging dirt worshiper, a retired wildlife biologist, and a sprite of the forest, my readings take you into the realms of elemental creativity to unearth a deeper awareness for those big decisions that you have in life. The first 50 viewers to email me with the coupon code below and book a reading will receive 50% off that reading. I can't wait to see what the cards have in store for you. Mahalo nui loa.
Are you ready to understand yourself better than ever before? Enlightened edutainment awaits inside the Serious Joy Vault. Subscribers receive in-depth insight into the planetary energies with daily texts, pep talks, and more, personalized to your unique blueprint. Subscribe now for only $3.99 your first month at SeriousJoy.com.
And we're back. LOL, leading out loud, Christopher Techie and Scott Cruz. All right. Well, we're just talking about how shit's hit the fan, literally. I think, we'll usually do the astrology thing here and our predictions, but I think we kind of ate some of that time up. We should skip to our main topic. I'll just say astrologically, I already said it really earlier. We had that full moon that kicked our butt. And we totally did. We have another we have eclipse coming at 28 degrees Aquarius, and that's what this is. That eclipse is a huge energy to say we got to go to step 28, okay? And we're starting breaking down at 13. That tells you right now the chasm that's about to happen. So self-love is the topic of the day. Self-love. The question is, what is self-love? What the hell is self-love? I would say I'm the first person I knew talking about it. I'll tell you that. I never heard it before I said it. Now I'm sure I'm not the first person, but I wasn't hearing it. It's like a common thing now. It wasn't when I started. There's a crowd from my own yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, when I started my work too with my clients, it was all about, I was also writing about self-empowerment, and like you can't do anything without self-empowerment. That's the root of all, creation, inspiration, spiritual gifts is to self-empowerment. So, and believe in the self. So yeah, it's always been my mission, but I agree. The mainstream, we're just really talking about like how to pacify, how to like focus on what you want, how to get what you want. It's been all about that, and that's not really what self-love is. And really discussing the elements of self-love, which is proper boundaries, allowing yourself to express without repression. So don't repress yourself and what you need. So again, self-love is allowing yourself to express, to purge in a sense, right? And also, like we said before, saying those boundaries, there's a fine line about what you should be letting in and be very conscious of that, and a lot of times people think that self-love is like what we were saying before in the beginning. I'm like, sometimes self-love is like stopping the gossip. Maybe just turn your ear off to gossip. Because do you need to hear that stuff? Do you want to participate and be a participant in those things and what goes on in those negative environments? So, again, being conscious to me is what's really what self-love is, conscious of self.
Well,
and wanting to attend.
I feel that self-love ultimately is the foundation of 5D but we look at it. The reason why we're calling it self-love right now is because we had a time in our history where we were told to give it away. We were told by these spiritual entities or deities or whatever, the myths that came in the scriptures that were written by the men, frankly. I'm sure the actual original deities were telling us some cool stuff, but at the end of the day, You're supposed to love yourself first and be there for yourself first energetically before you start giving things away. And so we've been basically on the sacrificial lamb consciousness for a long time. And so we have to think of it as self-love. The best time is think about a time when you just had a blast. Can you remember a time when you had a blast? I mean, like such a blast with friends, laughing or something. Where you're in that state where you're just like having so much fun that you literally have a moment with yourself. And you're like, it's so great. This life is so great. I love being alive. And that one moment, and you say that to yourself, and that is self-love right there. That's it. That's 5D. That's how we wake up every day. That's how low we are. And you probably think of 3 examples of times in your life where you go, so happy to be alive, like that, where you're so happy you said it even. And that is where we're supposed to start the day. That's 5D to me. Self-love is what gets you there. And to me, self-love is a state of being. We have to always just be loving to ourselves, always be loving, always. It's in every little thing. You know, the inner child is out, the smallest thing. And, you know, when we see people who are happy, you know, like Betty White, for instance, seemed like a happy woman. She seemed like a happy woman. She did. She was always joking. I see her behind the scenes stuff. She was always happy. And she was a Capricorn. I don't get it. But anyways, she was. And she was a Grandmaster Capricorn. I'm kidding. But she seemed like she loved life. She loved herself. She loved everything. And she loved animals a lot. I mean, she really loved animals.
She did. She's a huge animal lover. But you know, self-love is also a choice. I don't want to hear people say, oh, I just don't know how. I just can't. You're choosing to not love yourself. And you're choosing to love yourself. It is a choice. So, and what we need to be very conscious of is how are we choosing to do it? You know, what are the definitions of what we choose to be defined as what self-love is? And is it really? Is it vapid? Is it deep? Is it really truly a desire deep down within? Or is it just some sort of a pacified desire to, you know, pacify, you know, your unresolved trauma? So these are things that I think we need to like emphasize first before we dive into the self-love thing. Let's define what it really is. And so, yes, I agree. It really has to do with more of the internal love, which is always there. So you're choosing to look at it. You know, but I always say we just have to be conscious in how we're participating in what we're already doing in our lives now. Are you putting love into your health, right? Because self-love is not so much like I don't feel the love, I don't love myself. I said, well, you can't wait to feel love for yourself. Put love into yourself. Put love into how you choose your actions with your diet, with your health, with your well-being, right? Putting love into it is how you really kind of establish and maintain the momentum and sustainability of self-love and the consistency. Because so many people just think like, you know, it's just hard for me to love myself. Like, well, put love in it. Stop trying to wait.
You have to use love to love. That's a good point, and I agree. And I think it's in the response. Like, for instance, I had just today, I have to go to the doctor. And so it's like, do I go to the doctor or do I do this particular recording? Now, if I'm in that recording, everyone's gonna be mad. Everyone's gonna think I'm sloughing off. And so what's the self-love? Is the self-love getting myself out of being in trouble? Or is the self-love going to the doctor first? Which is the self-love? That's a complicated answer. The answer is going to the doctor first, pissing off everybody. So a lot of times self-love means that people see you as selfish or whatever. I mean, I'm not saying for this show that would happen, but sometimes people see you actually don't love yourself because you're afraid of not being loved by others. You're afraid of other people's love. And of course, being afraid of the supply of other people's love is because you're starving for love yourself in the first place. So it's in those moments of response, I think, is the most powerful change. You want to change self-love? It's it's a response to yourself, and it's an inside job. It has nothing to do with anything out of the world. Nothing.
And people in my lives who are like struggling or trying to understand or adapt to self-love and being in that momentum, I'm very patient with them. You know, I understand they're going to disappoint, so of course don't get disappointed. I understand they're not going to hold to the word. And I understand things going to be kind of rocky, but I understand the process, and I'm just there to support them in their journey of like understanding that it's okay to be in self-love. And I want to be one of those people. It's like, don't worry about it. I know where you're at, because they're doing the work. If they're not doing the work, then forget about it. They're going to be held to accountability. But those who are doing the work, I'm very patient on. I'm very understanding because I know what it was like to like get myself to get into that position and understand the extreme dichotomy of like self-love and, you know, being all about others or having the surface love and all that stuff. I understand what it's like to try to find that balance. It's difficult. And then to like want to people please, right? And then you can't people please. And then it takes a long time to find that new footing with that, right? So I always say to those of us who are in self-love, we need to be very patient with those people who are, but not patient with those who are not. And we have to understand the differences too. That's how we self-love ourselves as well. So I can't be giving myself to these people who are taking advantage, who are not doing the work. So no, I'm setting my boundary. That's how we could also self-love to those who are finding or not finding self-love. You know,
as far as giving, what I learned with giving this week, in the last 2 weeks, actually, because this is my big thing, is I don't love myself first, and I love myself when I do good things. I love myself when I achieve. I love myself when I succeed. So I'm a self-love, I don't know what I am, terrorist. I've got myself under hostage. I won't let myself unless these things happen or these things happen. It's a way of motivating myself, a lack of self-love, and depriving myself of self-love. That's what I found. And what I realized is that ultimately all of your power comes from self-love. And if you love yourself first, you will know how much energy you have, and you'll want to give it to a person. Them asking won't even piss you off. Them asking won't even trigger anything, because you have so much. You're like, which charity should I give to? And because you feel so solid when you're solidly loved like that. So it's like the fact that there's this tug of war at all with anyone else tells me, for myself, I'm not speaking for you. For myself, I'm like, oh shit, I'm already depleted because this question is pissing me off. And that'll happen. I put myself out there as a helpful guy, and then people ask me stuff, and I'm like, Argh. And I realize that is because I am depleted, right, of my energy. And it seems selfish too. That's the other thing we have to work on in another episode. How self-love is not selfish. It's not selfish. It's self-centered. A lot of people think self-love means you have to be alone. I'm like, no, you don't have to be alone, but just spend more time with yourself. Big difference. I'm spending more time with myself versus I got to be alone. It's like, you'll never be alone. You don't have to be alone to find that balance of self-love either. Right. You know, and yeah, if you emptied your whole tank on all these people, how do you expect to have anything to give it? I mean, it's so simple that we forget these simplicities. You know, if you deplete here, you're not going to have patience anywhere else if it's all gone, right? And that's one thing I was working out, right? Being patient with everybody in my life. And then all of a sudden, like, I'm out and about, people are just irritating the hell out of me because I just have no more patience because it's divulged into everything else, right? And so I had to find a way to navigate and set my boundaries, not, corresponding with clients on my off hours when they're not in sessions. It's because they're long-term clients, and I had to set boundaries on that. Yes. And with friendships too, and my friends and family to understand, and some of them do, some I start learning that I'm reading people all day. I don't want to hear more garbage every, day and your problems. So maybe you have to kind of limit that with me because it's going to drain me, and so some friends know, hey, I know you're reading all day. Talk to you later. Or they don't do the proper timing. I just send cards. That's all I do. Christmas cards. That's all you hear from me. We don't fill our well, and we spend our time. You know what I think we should do? I'm gonna say it right now and just blow it all. I think we should do the next 3 weeks on self-love. Like, we should do all of Aquarius and early Pisces on self-love, because this is actually the issue. This issue is so deep in so many directions. I think we can talk about it all in so many places, just the generic of it or not of it. And people are not good at it. You're right. People aren't good at it because we've been told to do this ever. We've been told, take care of your family, take care of your church. Do you be this, be that, do this? Always stuff to be for the world. Always, never like, how do you feel? Never turning back to ourselves. Well, how do you feel, little Timmy? We don't say that. We go, Timmy, get your ass, or you're grounded. There's always this. We're going to punish you if you don't.
And we're not taught, and kids are not taught, like, to make a living for themselves, to do what makes them happy so they can have the money to live a life they want to live. Instead, it's like, you got to bust your ass and make a living, work hard, and so you can pay your taxes. Like, what am I doing for me?
Or
I have to work hard and pay your taxes and support family.
The millennial and Gen X who are over empowering their children. It's like, giving all the love. No, you have to wipe your nose. It's like, that is them giving the kids what they wish they got from their parents, which should have all come from ourselves in the first place.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we started this talk about self-love, and I think we should kind of maintain it from different aspects the next week and the week following that too. I think it's a great time to do that during this time. And tomorrow I do my live show, kind of what is next chapter, humanity's next chapter. So kind of get into that. I did 2026 predictions a couple weeks ago, then kind of the climate to what to expect. And so we're going to talk about what's the next chapter and what could we expect and how do we prepare for that next chapter moving forward for humanity. So that's tomorrow night. And as well, doing live readings as I always do every Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. And if you want, scottcruzpm.com to book a one-on-one with me too. So just kind of wrapping that up there.
Awesome, man. Looking forward to it. And can you fit in 2 hours? Like, you're like the entire future of the Aquarius in 2 hours. I'll show up. We had to talk to you about that. What time does that start Pacific time on Thursdays? Just so I'm 6 o'clock. Okay, perfect. Okay, yeah, we had to talk tomorrow. I just want to say Serious Joy is releasing our 40 Days of Past Lives and Karma coming up. This program is amazing. It starts at 0 degrees Pisces and goes all the way to 11 degrees Aries. And each day, the course is designed to give you kind of like self-journaling, where you will journal about your life and your childhood while looking at parts in your chart, something I kind of downloaded of how to compare. I'll tell you right now, You may know nothing about your past lives, but by the end of this 40 days, you will know very much, at least the direction and the major themes. People walk away feeling so solid. There's no more question mark about that. And I didn't believe in past lives either, by the way. So I say keep an open mind. It's either going to be clear or it's not going to be clear, but we're not going to force you to believe in it. You'll see for yourself, and it's based on your life. We'll have tickets available. We'll put it out everywhere on social media where to buy, but just keep your earmark for that. And I think you and I, dude, we're going to do like a little comedy thing of 40 days of our past lives. I think we should do. Starting to step through little jokes about 40 days of our past lives together. And what that was
we were supposed to do skits of it, of some of them together, so at some point
the ironic twist of our history. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
keep it alive. All right, well, you guys stay in that self-love zone, I'd say, between now and next week. Don't put up with the shift show. Love yourself more and lead out loud.
Yes, love out loud, guys. Come on.
See you next week. Ooh. I flew that one by
it's a lot to cover. It's a lot to cover, and of course, Epstein stuff is really deep, right? So it's easy to get wrapped up in that stuff.
And self-love. I mean, honestly, self-love is as big of a topic as Epstein, so I think we're actually pretty balanced.
Somehow they go hand in hand, right? Because revealing the truth is self-love. Wanting to know the truth is the root of self-love, right? Living in truth. So that's what we're craving for.
Epstein only loved himself.